Okay. So thanks for coming along. So I joined in with Juliet's last time. It was absolutely fabulous. So I've had all my chakra cleansed, and there's one or two of you that were there then. So some of you might have been doing different things today. You might have been at work, if you're a key worker, and I suppose, or whatever you've been doing, or you might have just been experiencing the winds outside. So has everybody had the gale force winds today?
Yes.
Yeah. So I find that really exciting. I don't know if other people do. So if anybody wants to speak and join in, all you need to do is unmute or wave your hand, and I'll just join you in, okay? So we're just having a little chat anyway for a couple of minutes till, in case some other people join us. Because I know I had about 3 people just contact me, and I've sent the link, but I hadn't got the email, Juliet.
I know,
so,
I did that in some of the previous sessions on Eventbrite. The way it works is you just email everyone who signed up, and the system does it in Eventbrite. So I hope that there's not a lot of people who that's happened to.
Okay. So I brought some trees with me.
Wow, can see them.
So this is my palm tree. So these are just some of the trees I have at home. This is my palm tree. So actually, I don't know if you've tried, but if you get underneath a palm tree or any tree, you can actually feel the aura coming down. And to do that, you have to be in a very sort of gentle state of mind, because it's sort of very gentle. So you're not going to feel it like the wind or the gale, but if you just tune in. So what I'm going to do is show you how to tune into the trees. Some of you might know already, but we're going to do it together. So, so I don't know, is the music coming through? Can you hear it?
It's very quiet. I would turn it up.
Okay, we don't need tune. Okay, so this is Enya, the memory of trees. So it's just like you just to close your eyes and get into trees. We're going to think tree. So breathe in green and brown and think tree. Think about that gale today, the winds, or if you've looked out the window and seen the trees blowing. Otherwise, just imagine it. So, okay, so trees are have been around well before us. The oldest tree, or one of the oldest, so here is the ginkgo tree, and I have one here. This is a ginkgo tree. It's got really beautiful little sort of heart-shaped leaves, and it's like been here like 270 million years before us, so it predates the dinosaur. It's very hardy, and so it can withstand fires, and that's why it's been here for so long. So trees have been with us way before us, so this is why we need to honour trees. Trees connect us, they connect the land with the sky and the stars, and they have a really good connection with the whole of the solar system. So think about what trees are in your life. You may not have a house full of trees, but you'll know what trees are, and we generally blank them out because they're a bit like there's so much. Hopefully, they're a part of our environment, and they've been around here for a long, long time, and they're continually growing. So, what are they here for? They're here for us and for everything else on the planet. So they keep the earth moving. They take their nourishment from the soil and they just grow, and they give us food and they give us shelter. They provide firewood for us. They actually provide everything that we need. We can even take sap from trees, such as maple syrup or birch sap. There's lots of other saps now that, and so they're totally here for us, and they love us unconditionally. So it's really lovely if we can be able to honour back the trees, what they give to us. So they hold banks together. For instance, the willow tree, and I have some here. So this is off my willow. I had to cut it a bit yesterday. There's a lovely big willow tree at the bottom of the garden. But willows are usually grown next to banks, and they hold the soil in, and they're known for looking after their environment. So they're next to rivers, and they can actually unpollute rivers, and they hold the soil and the bank together. And of course, they're absolutely beautiful. And all children love to go running underneath a willow tree, and they like to hide. I don't know if some of you maybe remember doing that. It's like great fun, but also you feel the energy, and you may not have realised that was tree energy, but that's where it is. So
I love that, Jen. My daughter was supposed to be called Gabriella, and when she arrived, obviously she couldn't speak, but energetically I knew that wasn't her name. I have no idea where Willow came from. It is not a name that I would have thought that I would have called my child. It wasn't I didn't even consider it. And after 2 days, it was in the full moon, and she told me that was her name. So
how fabulous.
Her name's Willow.
That's lovely.
I have no idea where it came from. It came from her.
And so her name's Willow.
Willow Rose.
Willow Rose, how fabulous. Yes, I've met, I know of another Willow. I thought it was a fabulous name, yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is honour the trees and just recognise how important they are in our lives. Now, what's going on in the world at the moment is absolutely crazy. No one would deny that. So there's lots of crazy stuff going in the world, and yet the trees are there for us. So this is our steadiness. They can show us how to ground. They can do everything apart from move themselves, and they don't need to. I don't know if you're aware, but scientists have now, they now understand that trees can actually talk to each other in a very, I'm looking at that picture behind you, Connie, this sort of network. That sort of reminds me of the network of trees. There's a huge network underground. And so they connect with their roots, and particularly in forests, there's been lots of scientific, scientific stuff going on there, and they can recognise that they actually look after younger trees around them. They can give them nutrients, and they can talk to things, and they share, and they connect with fungus. And within a forest, there's usually about 4 or 5 main they call them mother trees or father trees around the forest. And underneath these trees, it's usually quite barren, just right underneath. But they're actually looking after the whole forest. And it's really important, and scientists have recognised that. And they've asked for lumberjacks not to remove these trees. They're very, very important. And another really interesting thing about trees is that they there is a sort of tree telepathy. And I've used this and it really works. So if you want to get a message to someone, it sounds weird, but if you want to get a message to someone, you can actually tell a tree and it will pass on a message to you. I don't know how it does it, whether it's telepathic through the air or what, but they are all connected. So they can get messages down to south coast of England and up north, and they can also amazingly go across the water. So it's great to have trees as our friends. What we're going to do today is we're going to think tree, be tree, and then we're going to connect with a tree and have a tree totem. So a tree totem is like some tree that we're going to connect with, and it might be a particular tree in your garden or one in your mind that comes to you, and that's going to be your tree guide. And you can go to this tree and it's going to help and support you with other trees. Now, apart from that, we're also going to ask a question, because I think this is not as a sort of proof, but just like practice, so we can know how to talk to trees and how to be open and listen back, because they're full of unconditional love, total unconditional love, and they're always here for us. Now, I was with a wonderful tree group last year, and we found out that we connected with trees, and we found out that we were getting different messages from the trees, but it wasn't contradictory. So there's many facets of us, and there's many facets of trees, and there's all these many different dimensions. So what you ask will be meant for you. Okay. So first of all, any questions? Anyone like to share anything about trees? Mark would. Okay, so let's unmute Mark.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, I just want to quite mind-based stuff, but for every human being, there are 500 trees, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Which is quite a lot, until we chop them all down, that is. But hopefully that's not going to happen soon.
That's present day, Mark.
That's at the moment. There are 3
Yeah.
trees or something. So
500. Yeah. So there must have been thousands before.
Yeah, sure.
Per person. Brilliant.
But we did plant a few. But also trees communicate using light as well. So that's been proven.
Using light, tell us.
Above ground, so they communicate underneath in the root system, but they also communicate above ground using light. So all plants do.
Light. So maybe that's how they've been able to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Wow. So this could be pretty useful if the telephone lines go down, or even before.
Sounds good.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. Anybody else got a tree sharing they want to add? Yeah, okay, over here. Denise, let's unmute you. Oh, do you need to do it, Juliet?
I am.
Hi, Jan. Thanks very much. Very interesting, Jan. Thanks very much. Me and my friend Juliet, we like to tree hug and connect with Mother Nature.
Ah, yes.
Just a wee thing we like to do when we're out and about.
You're telling all my secrets now, Denise.
We love to do that. We can't share that.
So how do you feel, Denise, when you hug a tree? Why do you do it, and how does it feel? What do you get from it?
Peace.
That's nice. Lovely. Anybody else? Any other tree huggers? Literal tree huggers here? Mark's a tree hugger. Juliet and Connie. Okay. Well, maybe.
Sorry, Jen, I was going to say we've always done that, Denise and I, for a number of years, even before I was on the kind of spiritual awakening path. I don't know why I've always done it. I just always felt it was very grounding. To be in nature, to go on long walks with the grass and the plants and hug a tree. I don't know why that seems natural to me, but it just did.
Lovely, yeah.
I also want to say, from a spiritual point of view, trees make great portals and gateways because their energy is like so old and they've got this ancient wisdom. So yeah, for me, trees are great portals.
Yes, brilliant. I love this ancient wisdom. I mean, they have to have it. They're so ancient, and then it has to be passed down. It's got to be within their DNA, and I think that's why they're so peaceful, and they just offer unconditional love because they know that's where it's at. Yeah. Hi.
Hi. So I'm quite new to this whole tree hugging thing.
Hi, Sabrina. Yep.
I feel like I've missed out. And I just find it fascinating to hear you speak about trees and why people never have been speaking to me about this before. It's incredible because it all makes sense. It makes perfect sense. But I've just lived a life where people don't hug trees.
It's funny, isn't it? And how we tend to blank out trees. And sometimes I do that purposely just to freak myself out. I'm walking down the street and I think, what would this be like if there was no trees? And it's like, oh no, it'd be horrible. It'd be like a concrete jungle. They're so important, and we don't see them, but they make everything soft and beautiful, as well as giving us oxygen, of course. Okay, Marcus?
Yeah, I was going to say we often go down to the forests and do healings with the trees. Well, reciprocate the healing, so you'll maybe get healings from them, but also it's better to give them a lot of healing too.
Oh, that's lovely, yeah.
Go into places where the trees need it, and they all need it anyway. Especially when they're near cities and stuff, you find there's a lot of depletion in their energy. So you can go in there and give them a lot of energy, which is good to do.
You're right. Just talking about them and having this workshop, I can just feel their energy just going up like, yeah, we've been spotted, we've been noticed, yes. Yeah, that's great. So that's lovely as well, Marcus, that it's two-way. So when we're hugging, yeah, it's two-way. We're giving love and receiving love, yeah. And it's strange, isn't it? When you hug a tree, you can it feels warm like a person, doesn't it? And I love all the different kinds of bark.
Yeah.
They're all so different, isn't it? I love bark. And I love anything made of wood. And that's okay, by the way. The trees aren't freaking out that we have things made of wood. We're actually, because I asked them, at least it's okay for me anyway, because I asked that's okay, and they give it, and they're honoured to give it. They do like us, obviously, to respect them rather than go just chomping them down willy-nilly. For instance, my totem tree is a holly tree, which is in my local park across the road. And it's probably about, it's not too tall, it's probably about 15 to 20 feet high. So it's over, there's a lot of really huge, bigger trees. So this is where I thought, when I was asked to go and get my totem tree, and I looked around the park, I just thought it'd be like the biggest and the best. But actually, this holly tree was like calling me over. So what do I mean by calling over? I think its leaves were actually waving. And actually, if you turn into a tree, the leaves do wave to you, or the branches, and you can sort of feel it. There's like an energy that draws you. So this holly tree really drew me to it, and I just said, in my mind, just in case there's anyone listening, are you my tree? And it's like, yeah, if you want me to be your tree, I'd really love to be your tree. I have a friend who takes exception as that. When I call it my holly, she says, it's not your holly, it belongs to everyone. So, yeah, I don't mean to say it's only mine, but for me, it's like my special holly tree. And I can think of it now in my mind, and it communicates with me. So my holly tree is there and is there with us now. When I went to see it a few weeks ago, it's sort of, I was passing by a little bit and it called me over. So I was going to go and see it later. So I went over, and then it was very still and the energy was very almost sort of frozen. I said, "What's wrong?" And it said, look at me. And so I sort of looked at this other conical olive tree. I said, "Well, yeah, what's the matter?" Looked shiny and bright to me, and it said, "Come closer, look all the way around." So I walked around the tree where it was next to a path, and it said, "Come closer." And when I went closer, its branches were cut off, and I saw it's like white on the ends. And I went, "Oh, you've been cut." And Holly says, "Yeah, I've been cut." And it was done like as a surprise, a shock, because obviously this tree cutting thing came down the path and just chopped it off without it recognising. So I asked if it wanted some healing, and it says, "Yeah, okay." So I sort of touched its branches and imagined I was healing it. But maybe I wasn't strong enough for a tree because it was still feeling hurt. It was hurt actually for quite a few weeks, but it gradually lessened up as it grew leaves. So it's very important that whenever we're picking anything in the wild, that we actually ask the tree, and often it's really happy to share its leaves, and it'll show you. So which leaf should I take? It gave me Holly gave me a little branch, but I should have brought it. It's just in the other room, just before Christmas, and I took that, and it still looks just as it was straight off the tree. That's 6 months ago. It's amazing. And there was another time it asked me to take a holly leaf, and I brought it home with me. And as I was going the front door, I got a little holly in my front garden, just by the front door on the left. It asked to go there. So, okay. So I just sort of dropped it in this potted holly that I was growing. And it says, if you can't always come to me, because this was like the winter time, I didn't like going out and it was dark. If you can't always come to me, I'll be here with you, with this little holly tree. So you can have lovely conversations with your trees. And I'd love to hear about conversations that you have. So I think if we can communicate with the trees, we'll be able to really support the whole world through it. So what we're going to do first is connect a totem tree. And we're just going to see what comes up to you. You don't have to share anything at all in this session, but if you do, that'd be really nice. So we're going to become tree. So you can close your eyes, you can stop your video if you want while you listen. It's only going to be for a few minutes. So we're going to start with closing our eyes and becoming aware of our body. Notice your body posture. If it feels better for you, you can stand. You can also stay seated, but be very clear with the bottom of your feet, because we're going to get very rooted in the ground. So it's really helpful if your feet are flat on the floor. If you are lying down or do this lying down anytime, you can just imagine that the ground's below you, because our minds can do wonderful things. So first of all, feel the bottom of your feet and breathe into the bottom of your feet. So as we breathe in, imagine that you're breathing in through the bottom of your feet, like little through the pores of your bottom of your feet, and the energy's coming up through the land, the bottom, through all the earth and the rubble and the soil. It's right down below us, even if we're a few floors up. So the bottom of our feet, just feel that, be aware of the gentle skin at the bottom of our feet, very gentle. You might want to wriggle your toes and then be aware of what's next to you. Feet, it might be socks or slippers or shoes, and be aware of that texture too. Breathing in each time and letting go. And then take that awareness further down through your floorboards, your carpet, or rug or vinyl, just noticing the textures and going through the floor. There might be more floors below you, so just very quickly zoom all the way down to the foundations of your building where you are. Notice a rubbliness, a hardiness, and then just notice also the air in between. So with your mind, just take yourself down much, much further. So this is where the roots are of the trees. The bigger the trees, the deeper their roots. And the soil. Take yourself to a nice soily place. And in your mind's eye, you might be able to connect with lots of other roots in the ground. So just breathing in and out, noticing what it's like to be underground. Might be little animals here. Might be rabbits or voles around. Many, many insects nearer the surface. There's big tree roots. Sometimes they're so big that they sort of nobble out gnarly above the surface of the ground. And there's lots of little lateral roots coming off that mingle. And then we have fungi. And amongst all the earth here, getting closer now to the top where there's grass. And where all the plants just come out of the ground and they start to change colour. You might find little earth spirits around, just looking after and tidying things. And now we're with the elements, the wind, and the breeze, and the fresh air. And just notice in your mind's eye where you're coming up, where you're popping up. Imagine that you're just springing forward, tree-like. Your body's just coming up above the ground. And you're seeing with tree eyes. Maybe that's more like just feeling trees around you. But you're aware, you can smell trees. You can smell earth. You can smell the greenery. And you can breathe in fresh air. Totally different, that sort of demarcation from under the ground to just popping out of the ground. Imagine if you're a tree, you're opening your arms wide and just reaching out. Just notice how far you'd reach out. Notice what the air is like, if it's dense or light. Notice if it's windy or a breeze or if the air is very still. Whatever it is for you, this is where you've popped in. So just notice that. You might be aware of expansiveness around you. You might be amongst a clump of trees in a garden or in a forest, or you might be in a road. So you might want to walk in your imagination forward until you come across a tree. So you're going to be looking for your tree totem. I'm going to allow you just to explore. It may not be the first tree you come across. It may be another tree. This tree might lead you to another tree. But in your mind, in your heart, know that you want to connect with your totem tree. So this might come up an imaginary place, or it may be a place you've been, or maybe it's a place you've been, you've forgotten. I just want you to imagine yourself walking along, feeling the ground under your feet. It may be soil, it may be some sort of pathway. As you walk along, go forward until a tree beckons you over. Notice how your tree smells. You might engage with it a different way. It might be through touch. It might be mentally calling you over. You get closer, a good look of how it's looking. Look at its leaves. Communicate with your tree in the way that you wish to. If anyone hasn't got a tree, raise their hand if they need help. You might want to embrace your tree and thank it for coming to you. Then start to come back into your body. Have some water if you've got some near you. Trees like water. They like sunshine and vitamin D. They like the occasional food. Trees just take what they need to eat. We can learn a lot from trees. So maybe you've found a totem tree. Does anyone want to share what happened?
I don't know if I done it wrong.
You can't go wrong.
So when we came up out of the ground and we were that just kind of springing up, I thought it was an apple tree, but then when we went a walk into the forest, it changed.
That's okay. What was it then?
It was an oak tree.
Okay.
A really, really big, massive, like 100-year-old, huge oak tree. But at the beginning, I had been such a start of a wee apple tree that I thought that was
okay. So it sounds like your apple tree you connect with the apple tree, and it guided you to your oak tree.
Yes.
Would you like that as your oak tree as your totem?
Wow.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Fabulous oaks. I love oak wood.
So do I actually. I always use an oak tree when I talk about flexibility in people's mindsets and things. I don't know. I never really thought about it until now, but I talk about an oak tree a lot.
I love oaks. They're so big, and their leaves are spectacular, aren't they? Spectacular shape. I love them. Okay, let's hear. Let's just have a name for tree. Oh, Denise.
Hi.
Hi.
When you were going through it, it felt when I connected to the ground, Mother Earth, I could feel like the spider effect of all the roots expanding and connecting. And the outcome of my tree was a willow tree. I don't know why. I just think it's absolutely beautiful that it kind of goes like umbrella kind of look, and kind of goes over. I just think it's beautiful.
Very nice. They're very feminine willow trees, and a really lovely, soft, gentle energy, and playful. Lovely.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I had a cherry blossom tree.
Cherry blossom, wow.
So I found myself walking through this massive field just full of cherry blossoms.
Oh,
and
lovely.
the leaves were like coming down in the wind. It was amazing.
Wow. And are you aware of a cherry blossom near where you live? You know how to get to one?
I think I do. I've never really been looking for one, but I'm sure there will be.
There's a row of them in the meadows.
All right.
Meadow Walk is full of all those flowering cherries. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So even when they're not flowering, your cherry tree is going to be there for you. Brilliant.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to share? Hi, Connie. No.
Yes. Yeah, that's me. I started with a olive tree because I've always been very connected to them, and then
olive tree.
Yeah, I think maybe it's my Spanish thing.
Oh, yes.
Spanish origin. But then all of a sudden it changed to a rowan tree that I have in my garden.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice. So it guided you to the rowan.
Yes, I think
it has something that you're really familiar with, and then it took you to the rowan. How do you feel about that?
I think it's like a kind of a magic tree, the rowan. I did some research that you shouldn't really... I think even in Scotland, it wasn't allowed to cut the branches. It was like a very sacred tree. And then I thought maybe that was a kind of a message for me, maybe I'm more connected to here now than because, olive trees for me are I've always seen them. I think they're like wise old people. They're standing for centuries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Olives are fabulous. I love olives. And olive wood is so oily and shiny and beautiful. It's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So put up a hand if you want to share your tree. Okay, Marcus. Hang on, we've got to unmute you.
Yeah, I'll unmute myself, won't I? Yeah. Actually, there's got a big rowan tree in the back garden here as well. And I thought about that, but then I went up the street. And I remembered, actually, strangely enough, when I first came to the village where I am, I went round the village to all the directions and created guardian trees.
Oh.
And I just remembered about that. And when I went up the road in my sort of meditation, I came across one of these, and there were like pairs of them, and they're massive oak trees. So there's like a male and female oak, one each side.
Lovely.
Sort of real guardians to that roadway, and they're all around the village in the sort of different directions, if you like, north, south, east, and west of the village.
Oh, wonderful!
Massive.
So those oak trees, there's 2 oak trees. They're going to be your totem oak tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got 2, a male and a female oak tree. Brilliant. Nice, nicely balanced. Yeah. Mark, did you want to say something? We need to unmute.
Yeah, that was lovely meditation. Thanks, Jen. I started off, you lost me basically at you're under the ground and you're connected to all the other trees, and I was kind of lost in that for quite a while. And then I came up above the ground and really was just drawn to a branch rather than any type of tree specifically. And, ever since I was a kid, I remember looking at trees kind of blowing in the wind and imagining that there was no wind and that was the tree just moving of its own, like, volition or accord or whatever.
Yes.
The branch was like, the leaves were, I've been out today for a long walk, so had a lot of blowing around because it's been that kind of day, and so that's probably where that came from. But it was like a waterfall of leaves almost. It was just so much movement, and it was like I could feel like a deep flow of oxygen coming from that. So very vibrant green, So, and my whole vision just all leaves basically from that whole branch. Yeah.
So we nearly lost you underground.
Yeah.
Nearly lost Mark, but he's got out.
I think I'm still there a little bit, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
And any idea what kind of tree the leaves came from?
No.
Okay.
No, it was no.
Okay.
I don't really know I don't know my trees, but then I kind of make it a point not to know things.
So with the next exercise, you can use your branch with the leaves, and then when you go walk next, you can maybe, that reminds me of, maybe this is my totem. Yeah. Great.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Lovely. So anybody else want to speak? Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to connect with tree wisdom. So has anybody not got a tree to talk to, or a branch or something? Okay, so we've all got one. So what we want to come up with is a question. Now it can be as personal as you like, because you don't have to share this. We'll probably be ending soon after this. So don't have to worry about that. So go as deep as you like with anything, and the tree will usually answer you in accordance with yourself. So if it'll sort of so it's a bit like, those of us that have guides and have spoken to other guides or spiritual guides or channeling or anything, we tend to get messages as we speak ourselves, because what we're actually doing is interpreting. So the tree's making its sound, or its communication rather, and we then interpret it into our language. So it doesn't just mean English or Spanish or whatever, but it's going to be in the way that we talk and the way that we think. So it's going to be very much for us, very, very individual. It can be very personal. Okay, there will be time, one or two, to share if you wanted to share afterwards. And if anything comes up that you want to discuss with me later, you can always contact me on my website, gentays.co.uk, or email gentays@yahoo.co.uk. Or on my website, I've got a page now called Tree Wisdom, and I'm going to be putting more stuff up there. Okay. So if anything comes up that you want more clarity on, and the session's ended, don't think that you're stuck. You can contact me or anyone else, I suppose. So we're going to think about, so just close your eyes a bit and think about what question you'd like to ask. We're just going to take a minute or two for this. Okay, has anyone got any questions? If they want to just run anything by me or not quite sure what they want to ask. So everyone's sort of clear what they want to ask. Okay. My headphones in, and can you tell me, does this sound better or the same or worse? Okay, it's good.
Better.
Better. Okay, great. Okay. So first of all, we're going to go into this through a little bit of mindfulness. So be aware of your body posture, feet on the ground if you can. Just heel toe a little bit so you can connect with the bottom of your feet with the floor. And first of all, just have a look around you. Have a look around your room, and we're just seeing where you are right now. Totally non-judgmentally, so don't think, oh, I've got to paint there, I'll paint that. You're just looking at it. So look at colours, seeing furniture, plants, different textures. Noticing the space between everything. Notice the walls, window. Seeing all the things that are witnessing you here. Radiator, clothes, bits and pieces. They're all here and part of you in your room. So with your eyes open, just look around and breathe. Noticing the air as you're breathing in, you're very connected with your room and your room is with you. If you've got a plant around, that would be great just to notice now. And then slowly just allow your lids just to close. Continuing to breathe. Noticing the oxygen that's coming in through your lungs, and give thanks to the trees. There's magical oxygen that can just come through into any room or any little gap. Feel the bottom of the feet. Tap heel toe a little bit so you can connect with the earth below you. And then go to the top of your head. Imagine that little spot right on the top of your head and the top of your crown chakra. And just above there, just imagine a golden globe. And within this golden globe, we're going to go into an imaginary world. So imaginary does not mean it doesn't exist, because everything we can imagine can exist in that moment. So we're going to allow ourselves to enter that globe with our imagination. And we can put in this and take out wherever we want. So first of all, just check that your body is relaxed. So first of all, let's do a scan down the top of our head, coming down the body, checking for any tension, breathing and letting go, running all the way down your arms to your fingertips, down your legs to the bottom of your feet. Breathing in the energy from the bottom of our feet right up through our body, the top of our head. And let's go into that imaginary world. And we're going to bring up the tree that we connected with, or the branch or the leaves or whatever it was that you connected with. I want you to breathe it. Just look at it first and notice what it's doing. It's moving. Really connect with it. Be nice and relaxed in your body. And with your mind, you're just looking at it, just a little way away of you. So this is our first connection with our special tree. Notice how the air smells in this environment right close to your tree. Imagine that you can walk around your tree. Look at it from all angles. We're just gently walking around. So we get really getting a good view all the way around. Go to the top of your tree. Imagine you can rise above your tree no matter how tall it is, and you can look down on it. Have a good look around the tree and what's around your tree. And then come on back down and imagine you can look underneath your tree. Imagine you can see through the soil at the root system. What would it be like? How would the earth smell? Imagine you putting your hands, your fingers into the soil or the turf around it. Maybe you can feel some gnarly roots just above. Breathe in that smell, the earth, and then rise yourself up a bit and go forward to the bark. And first have a good look at the bark. Then reach out, feel it. Feel the bark. And again, go around your tree, feeling your tree, noticing what it's like under feet. And then put your ear next to the tree. You can put your arms around it if you've got bark. If it's sort of prickly holly or something, you can go around the outside and embrace the energy of the tree. I just want you to listen. Just notice any sounds. Imagine you can go closer and taste your tree. So this is your imagination, so don't worry about the effects. You can taste any part of it. Notice how that would taste. So now you've become very familiar with, tasted your tree, you've heard it, and the sounds around it. You can feel it, you can see it. Now I want you to step forward into your tree or your branch and become that tree. Notice what it feels like to be the tree. Imagine that the roots are your legs and going down beyond your feet, down into the ground. Feel your arms as if they're branches of the tree, and you may feel like you have many more arms. Just notice how long you've been here. Maybe you can receive a message in your own mind. How long has this tree been here? The tree may not know, or it may give you a number. Or it may answer you with another question. Just notice and thank it. And while you're still the tree, I'd like you to ask its question. Ask the question you'd like to ask the tree. And you can also let the tree know why you're asking. You've got a couple of minutes to do this. You might have 2 questions. After you've asked your question, I want you to listen and notice the answer to pop into your mind. Just be very, very open and be tree, so you're completely in the tree space. When you've got your answer, thank the tree. Offer the tree blessings. Offer it your love from the people and from mankind. Let it know that we know about it. We know about you. We're here for you. We're not going to be dissonant from you. We're going to recognize you and your family, and we're going to communicate with you. Now just ask the tree if it has a question or something it wants to tell you. Let the tree know that you can find it in real life or in your imagination equally well. Give it an embrace to know it's time to come back. Letting the image go, releasing it from the top of your head, let it fly into the air, and then coming back into your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Connect again with your arms. Make sure it's just 2 arms you have. Notice how you can bend and move. And use your human eyes and look around the room. Having a stretch so you come back well back into your body. Breathing the air in your room. Okay, so is everyone here? So we're due to finish in a couple of minutes. Would anyone like to say anything just very quickly in half a minute or a few seconds?
I'll say about my
Thank you, Connie.
question. So I just asked the tree what wisdom has it got for me, because I wanted something quite vague. But the tree's answer was to step into your power and be observed. So it's all so when it says be observed, I take it means like just put yourself out there, because trees are always there and they're in their power being observed all the time. So yeah. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, if anybody needs to go right now, that's fine with me. If anybody else wants to share. Mark?
Mine was almost exactly the same as Connie's. And to be beautiful, that's enough. You know, that's enough. So,
yeah, lovely. Lovely. Okay, well, I think this would be really nice to do this as a sort of a group with a group theme, wouldn't it? And look at all the different perspectives we can have. So maybe we can do that another time. So I want to thank you all for coming along and joining in. Brilliant.